There you go.
Hi, my name is Dan Castle with Modern Machinery, and today we're going to take apart and rebuild a carburetor.
Tell them what it's.
It's on a 1950 8-end Ford tractor that I'm restoring for a breast cancer awareness project. So let's get started. This job you're going to need a 1/2 inch and a 7/16. I prefer a line wrench because it grips all the way around on the fuel line. I use a line wrench because it grips all the way around on the fuel line. Take two.
Okay.
These are the tools you'll need. 1/2 inch open end wrench to take the nuts off of the base. I got a 7/16 line wrench. It usually works better. These lines can be really tight and it grips better on the line, but it's got an open end on the other end. And this is a 5/16 nut driver, but you can use a screwdriver for the hose clamp. So let's dig in. First, you got to take the fuel line off. Now, fuel will run out of this. As long as your fuel shut off, it'll run a little bit. So make sure your fuel shut off. It didn't want to let go.
Got it screwed out a little bit?
That fit too good. A couple turns, you should be able to unscrew it by hand.
Well, you need to drain the carburetor too.
Since the fuel shut off, it's not leaking very much.
So tell them what you're doing.
On a suggestion of my wife, I want to try and see if I can get this drain plug off the bottom.
Tell them what size it is.
I don't know what size it is. We'll do it the hard way. We'll take off the linkages here in a minute once I get the carbonator off.
Keep track of your nuts and washers.
Keep track of your nuts and washers because you don't want to lose them. They're fine thread, so not everybody has those in their toolkit. This is your air cleaner line. It runs over here to your all bath air cleaner. Lower this down and pull it out only a little bit. And these clips are spring loaded. Can you see that? They work like that and unhook from these balls.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I zoomed in to get
The balls or the...
Oh, now you're in the fuel. That flips.
They're spring loaded. You push them open like that and they just come off. Because there's a ball stud here on the carburetor.
You need to go further south.
These ball studs right here. They just clip on. Keep track of which one does what, but it's not too hard to identify them. Now we'll take the plug off. Alright, it's handy to have a bucket for the gasoline to drip out when it drips out of the carburetor, because it will. And now we'll take it to the bench. Okay, we got this carburetor out. I normally dip these so I don't clean them off very much, but I'm going to get some of the grease off so we can read the numbers on it to order a kit.
Tell them what you're using.
I'm using brake cleaner for this. It's not critical, but it does better on grease than carburetor cleaner does.
That, and if you do this, then you don't have so much stuff in your purple.
Do it over a bucket so you don't have any junk on the bench or on the floor where you're trying to work.
Wear gloves.
I'm wearing gloves because this stuff's hard on your hands, and I've been exposed to it over my life enough that I don't want any more.
Okay.
Okay, first thing we're going to take out is the fuel inlet fitting.
What size do you need to do that?
9/16 wrench will take it out. This is what they're supposed to look like.
Okay, hold on.
It's got a little screen on the end, so it acts as a filter. So there's 2 filters already on this. I do not support putting inline filters on because it just restricts the fuel flow more. The screen in here and the screen in the sediment bulb is plenty for these carburetors. Set that out of the way.
Getting high.
We're going to take the butterflies off the choke tube next, or off the throttle plate. Stop. All right, had to change a minor tool. I need a smaller screwdriver. These screws right here are very, very tiny. Do not lose them. The kit we got has replacement shafts for this, so that's, you always want to take them apart. Take these things clear apart as far as you can get them, because the more stuff you have in the way, the less clean they'll be. Here's the washer. Broken washer I'll have to fix.
Always keep any extra things.
That one's got a little star washer on it. The other one's broke. And there's your throttle butterfly. And then your throttle shaft comes out. There's supposed to be a felt seal in here. And that's one of the reasons I'm rebuilding the carburetor. The felt seal is missing. Should be able to stick a screwdriver behind that and pull it. But I'm not having much luck. There it goes. That's a throwaway part. You don't need it because the kit comes with a new one, or should come with a new one. Make sure before you throw it away. We'll take the is it the load screw out? One thing a lot of carburetor shops do, I see advertised for them all the time, and people recommend this guy and recommend that guy, but it's not really a complicated job. You could do it yourself if you've got any kind of mechanical ability. You just got to remember where everything goes. And it's not hard. You should be able to look at this video and go back on it and see. Tear this old gasket off. It was tore, so that might explain the idle problems I was having with this. might have a vacuum leak. That's very, very crucial to these carburetors that you do not have a vacuum leak. And I'll try to show you that later, how to check. There. The kit comes with a new gasket, so, or should. Now we're going to do the same thing we did to the throttle body. We're going to take the choke out. And that's down in there deep. I don't think you can see it. The camera won't pick it up. I got to take off my glasses to see it. We may have a problem. Some kits come with these screws new, but not all of them. And if they do come with new ones, I put these old ones somewhere where you can find them again in case you ever need to take it apart. Or take it another one apart and you're missing a part. There it comes.
Where it gets going.
And there's the other screw. Let's have a look at the head on that. I chipped the head a little bit, that's why it was so difficult to get it out. I'll show you what I'm having trouble with here when I get it out. Try not to stab yourself with a screwdriver. This is a choke plate in these carburetors. They've got a spring on the back side and a trap door that opens. Can you see that? Okay, that there, a lot of times is missing. The spring will be gone, or the plate will be gone, or all of it will be gone, and it's digested by your engine, so it's long gone, kiss it goodbye. If that flap is missing, it'll start hard. It'll be really cold-blooded. So if you find yours is missing, then that's probably the reason you were cold-blooded. Now, let's take this idle screw out. Put that there somewhere where you can find it. Now we'll take the main screws out. There's 4 of them around the perimeter of the top of the float bowl. This piece here is the float bowl. Oh yeah, I'll take that out while you're at it. That one came out. Oh, that's a spring. That's broken. That's supposed to help your throttle return back to open on its own. Not your throttle, but your choke. About need a script, honey. Except I wouldn't read it. I can't see what I'm doing here and read a script with my glasses off. This is a Venturi. Do not lose it. It restricts the airflow through there to help it give it more suction power. These are your floats. Now float singular. Pause it. Okay, as you can see, my tool winch brought me a thing for pulling that pin. This is your float. Shake it by your ear and see if you hear moisture sloshing around.
Okay, do that again.
Hold it by your ear and see if you can hear moisture floating around in it.
Or metal.
Or metal. Look for gasoline leaking around the seams.
Oh shit.
Just to make sure it's good. This one sounds good, so we'll be all right with it. This is your needle valve for your float. Now that's got a neoprene tip. It's a more modern one, so this carburetor's been rebuilt in the last 20 years. Some of them will have brass tips. That's perfectly fine too. The brass tips will stand up to the ethanol better if you're running ethanol gas in your carburetor. And this is what they call the seat. There's a tiny orifice inside there. If you can see it, you can't see it. And this needle valve goes inside. And then as the float level changes, the arms of the float push up and down on that valve to let fuel in. Save this gasket, because you got to fit your new one to it. Oh, there's a little tiny needle orifice we got to pull. See that? They'll usually only go in one way, so. Nothing else on that to take apart. This is a basket for the carb dip. I'll show you that in a few minutes. You throw all the stuff in the basket, except the float. It won't do you any good to put the float in there. But all your needle valves and such need to go in there. Did I drop something? Feels like I dropped something. What? Here? Mm-hmm. No, that's just you don't need that. There's another screw right there you can come out. Next thing is this little jet right here. That needs to come out. And I don't think I can get a wrench down there. I'm going to have a socket. Nope, going to have a socket. All right, and after some searching, we found the right socket. It takes a 3/8 1/4-inch drive deep well socket to get it out. It's not very tight, which is a good thing, because it's brass and it will strip. Oh, can you zoom in on this?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see the little holes?
Yeah.
Those little holes are very important. They need to be cleaned out.
Need to twist the holes so we can see them here. There you go.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we put them in our dip. We'll do a final cleaning afterwards.
Tell them how to get the screws out if they don't want to come out.
There's another little metered orifice in here. That little booger right there. And your carburetor's apart. If you have any of these screws that won't come out, what works really well is a fine tip torch. Heat around the nut, the brass washer, brass nut, whatever it is, and then take a heat out. It don't take very much, just a little bit. I didn't pop them out. I usually use a torch with a brazing tip. Find your brazing tip on it. So there that is. Put that in your basket too. Pause. Okay, one last thing you got to do before you order your carb kit is clean off this little brass tag right here by the choke housing, because that has important numbers on it. This one is TSX241B. So your carburetor kit needs to be compatible with this number. So once you have that down, order it. Some parts stores carry them in stock. Don't be surprised if you got to order it though. So everything in your basket. I put this wire on here so I could stay out of the chemical bath that this goes in. That's that. We'll let that sit for about a day. Aluminum carburetors, you better not let them sit a day. You better get them out in a couple hours, but this is cast iron, so it's fine. We're gonna let that sit a day and then we'll put our carb kit in. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.